Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Victory Leaders Lounge. Today, I have a great guest. Her name is Mariah. We're going to talk about everything great that she's doing. She's a Christian business coach. But I'm going to go in real quick first. I want to tell you guys about a new promotion that I have, and I'll say it again before we end. I have my Warrior Leadership Coaching certification with the additional business package add-on. For anybody who's interested in hearing about that, please put a comment below. But I do my promotions quick because I'd like to get to the meat and potatoes, and that's highlighting the guests that I have on here. So, Mariah, do you want to give an introduction to the audience here?
Yes, sure. Hello, everyone. First of all, I want to say that certification sounds awesome. I know you're like, you want to get to me, but that does sound really cool. It does. It sounds amazing.
Thank you. Uh-oh.
So I am Mariah.
Oh, well, we lost you. Well, it looks like you might be back.
Am I here?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't know what happened there. Okay.
I don't know. You kind of blanked out there. That's okay. You said, I am Mariah, and then it just kind of went away.
Peace out. I'm done.
Right. Go ahead.
Okay, so I am Mariah. I am a trauma-informed business strategist, and what I do is I help business owners build their business from the inside out, since our mental health is a direct result of our business's profitability. How we feel is going to determine how resilient we are in our business, how each time we fail, how resilient we are, and how many times we get back up. And I walk them through the mindset part and the healing. And then I also thoroughly believe that each business is extremely unique and each audience is even more unique. And so we see all of these strategies online and on Instagram, Facebook, and people are like, well, I have this perfect strategy because it worked for me, and people try it and it doesn't work for them. And they're like, why? What's wrong? It's me, right? But it's not true. Each business needs to be extremely personalized. They need a personalized strategy. And even an even better funnel. What funnel has worked for your exact audience in the past? Things like that. What kind of freebie? And so I really help them come up with a personalized strategy and a plan so that they can bring in as many clients as they need. And not only that, we don't just stop there. In one of my packages, I actually implement it for them. I build their website, I build their funnel, or I audit them and I fix them. Their email marketing, their social media content calendar, all these things. So it's a little bit.
I like that. I like how you said I fix them.
Yes. Yes.
Well, and you're right. It is personalized. When it comes to a business, everyone has their own personality, by the way. So not every business model works for every personality. And not everybody can work with every type of a person. And so you got to figure out what your client avatar would be so that you have a very specific person that you're talking to whenever you're trying to, even though you're talking to many people, that you need to understand whether that person is the person that you need to be working with. And so, there's foundations there. And if you start off on the wrong foot, as you move forward and try to grow, you're going to end up really having a hard time. And though failing is part of the process, I believe that failing is important, and people need to look at it as not as a setback, but
opportunity.
The word fail is actually an acronym. It's the first attempt in learning. And you can have as many first attempts in learning as you possibly, as you need, because they're all opportunities to grow until you're successful. And then even once you're successful, you're going to continue to fall on your face once in a while. It's important in the process. We all start off as kids.
Right.
And exactly. We stand up, we fall on our butt. We stand up, we fall on our butt. And then one day we're walking, and the next day we're running. And before you know it, we're getting into all the cabinets. You know how that is. But why should a business be any different? And so having a coach is important to that, I believe, because and when you can have somebody who's been through it, walk you through that process and understand what helps you be a key differentiator in your market, it's going to make you a lot more likely to be successful.
Absolutely. Because I mean, there's, that's why that personalization part is so important. Because I so I was a trauma coach for 3 years before I went to the business niche. And it took me a year. I didn't have the funds to pay somebody to help me. I couldn't pay for a coach. I couldn't pay. So I dabbled in like the $7 a month memberships, but you're only going to get so much with that. Like you don't get one-on-one interactions really, with those coaches. And so I learned everything on my own from scratch, like YouTube videos. There's only so far ChatGPT can even take you. Okay. I mean, like ChatGPT is extremely useful, but again, like it cannot build a business for you. And so like building the websites, doing all the things that I said I help my clients with, it was a learning curve. And then whenever I finally got enough clients and I became successful as a trauma coach, I learned that, okay, I need a coach now. Like I really need one now that I can afford one. And as soon as I did, it was like everything she said to me was just making sense. One of the main things that I did wrong, that I pray reaches somebody, it's got to reach somebody, I know somebody needs to hear this, is that I kept building business, like programs. I would build programs and then try and find my audience, instead of finding my audience and then building a program based off of the data and the analytics that they showed they actually needed. And that's why a lot of my programs failed at first.
That makes perfect sense. Well, and I like that because you're right. Starting off, you could have a coach build everything out, or you could have a consultant build out your entire business for you. You could have ChatGPT build out an entire business plan for you. Right. But, there's really none of those things without having a good coach can really help you with the implementation of it. And that's really, it's setting goals. Okay, we discussed all of this week. You're going to move forward. Next week, we're going to talk about how well that went for you and what you think you need to do differently. And when you have somebody walking you through the process like that, it just, it's not going to make sense to you unless you've done it. And you need to understand when you're not doing well, and you can't really understand when you're not doing well until you have somebody say, well, I don't think you realize, but that didn't actually work. And this is why. Yeah. Because otherwise you're just going through the motions every day.
Yeah, because we're in it, right? I mean, having an outside perspective from somebody who's actually built a successful business and they've learned, it's like the little nuances that really can break your business down, I think. But having an outside perspective is totally like it's a game changer for sure.
Yeah, it's almost it's almost compared to why a writer hires an editor.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same thing. Yeah. I mean, you need an outside perspective because you can stare at your writing all day long, but until you get that second look that says, did you look at this? It doesn't work.
Gosh, that's so good.
Oh yeah. I mean, I have analogies all day long. I'm
an analogy person. I love it.
So you're moving in the direction of business coaching, helping people with some of the background and stuff like that. So what actually got you to that point, other than, you just, because it sounds like you went from dealing with trauma and a few other things. And I saw some stuff on your Facebook that kind of explained some of that story, but I'd like to hear it from you. What kind of got you to the point where you were like, I have to transition from this?
Transitioning from trauma coaching to business.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I'm going to be really honest here. So I had kind of like, there's a name for it. And is it like secondhand PTSD? I don't know. I took on a lot of clients. And not only that, but I charged low ticket as well, because many of my clients, I let them pay what they wanted at the time because they really did need my help. And I took on, I think at the end, I had about 15 clients at a time. And it was extremely overwhelming. You know, they would say, well, I don't want to trauma dump on you. And I'm like, well, that's what I'm here. It's fine. You know, like I'm good. But eventually it started to like weigh down on me, if that makes sense. And I had friends asking me, like my other coach friends that I had met in Facebook groups and things like that. And they said, hey, I need my website done, or hey, I need some business cards, or what do you think about this? Can you help me figure out what deliverables or what my program should be like? Or, you know, they asked me tons of questions. And so, excuse me, I started to help them with that. And I noticed, man, I like this. Like, I love design. I love a lot of things that people don't like to do, like the technology side. I love designing websites. I love, except WordPress, like plain old WordPress. That one's very difficult. I can do it, but it's difficult. Anyway, so I just started helping friends, and I was like, I can do this. I think I'm going to switch over this way. And that's what I did. I've been doing that for about the past year.
Okay. So it just kind of naturally moved in that direction. And
yeah.
you're right. You know, at a certain point, when you get a certain level of experience, you need to either start charging more. And if your clientele can't handle that, then you need to move to a niche that can handle it. Yeah. That way you can really, because when you're starting a business, you're creating a lifestyle for yourself.
Right.
I mean, you do it full time. I mean,
right.
Do you really want to end up working it like you would a job? With it just kind of turns you into a mill of doing whatever it is that job requires you to do? Or do you want to operate it like a business owner and have a little bit of flexibility? Because, I mean, let's just face it. When you are charging more, it creates the lifestyle that you need. And when you don't need to handle as many clients, you have more free time.
That's right. Exactly. In the beginning, that's one of the other things that my coach was like, you're charging $15 per session.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's how low. I mean, like that's how that was one of my clients. She was paying $50. I think the most that anybody paid me during that time was maybe $100 a session. Okay. And I mean, we got deep into some stuff. So anyway,
yes.
It was, but that was my trauma again, because that was my people pleasing. Like, oh, well, any clients is better than no clients. Right. And I'm like, if they can only afford this, then yeah, sure. I'll do that. And I didn't have enough confidence in my abilities, I think, either. I thought, okay, I'm going to school to be a therapist, and I have, minors in marketing and sales, but I didn't feel, even though my experience and from my past, I still thought that imposter syndrome. That's what it was.
Yep. So. Yep. We got to get out of our own heads. That's basically what it boils down to. Yeah. So let's rewind even farther than that. I ask all of my guests a very similar question. Yeah. What even let me rephrase this. What made you want to be a business owner in the first place? Because it's a lot easier to rely on a 9-to-5 and know that money's going to come in. So taking that step to be a business owner is a really big jump. What got you there, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. So, I knew I wanted to help people, and well, that goes way back, but I'll get into that in a little bit if you ask me. But
sure.
So I started going to school, and I knew that, I want to be a therapist. So I have to go to school for like 6-7 years, and I didn't want to wait to help people. And I saw things online like, hey, you can become a life coach. And I'm like, oh, a life coach, what's that? I was like, that sounds cool. So I got like 15 plus certifications. Like I went overboard with the whole certification thing, but it was really valuable. So I did that. And then, I learned, well, I'm going to have a business. I'm going to have to build up the business and build my brand and all of these things. So basically I knew I wanted to help people, but I didn't want to wait the 7 years. So in the meantime, I am building a business, and I believe it's also helped me in the future because I want to have my own private practice as a therapist as well. So,
that's interesting. And when you look at it that way, you were almost building case studies that you can use later on in your own practice. That is so cool.
Duh.
Well,
wow. Why didn't I think of that?
Right. Well, that's probably exactly why you did it. But at the end of the day, the heart to help is why a lot of people start a business, and they just don't know where to start. I've actually seen the interviews online. I've gone out and talked to people in college, after college, just out networking and stuff like that, at business events, people that work in other businesses. And I've asked them, have you ever considered starting a business? And they're all like, oh yeah, that's something that I'd like to do. Well, what's keeping you from doing it? And it's almost the same answer always. Oh, well, that's a lot of work. I don't think, I think that's probably going to be a long ways down the line. And, it's that imposter syndrome that you're talking about.
Right.
People seem to think that something takes so much more time, effort, and energy than it needs to. And at the end of the day, if you are really, really good at what you do, or you want to go out and do something on your own, there's no better time than the present, because the longer you wait, the longer it is for you to get started. And let's be honest with you. If you build the right team, it's not going to matter. And that team doesn't have to be in your business. That team can be just a group of referral partners. It could be a group of people that all do similar things, and they kind of team up to tackle the same problem and keep in contact and coach each other through it. That can happen so many different ways. And so, building a business it's to me, it was difficult at first, but it didn't take long because I found a community, and that community helped me learn very quickly that I knew absolutely nothing about social media. So I probably needed to start my networking out in public first, because I had a lot to learn. I was a dinosaur.
It's definitely a learning curve. It really, and each platform has its own unique, there's a way to grow on each platform differently. Does that make sense? Each platform is so unique in a way. So you're not just learning social media, you're learning all of, or each platform that you choose to use anyway.
They're all tools.
Yeah.
That's all they are.
They're free marketing tools.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and social media is one thing, but then you have to learn how to actually market yourself.
Yeah.
That's a different story. And then it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, figuring out who you're marketing to. Yeah. Not just talking about your services, because you can go and tell somebody, hey, I provide coaching, come and talk to me. But it's not like when you walk into a business out in town somewhere where their phone is ringing off the hook. If that's what you expect when you start a business on your own, there's a rude awakening coming to you.
There is. Oh, that's what a lot of people think, though. They think, I'm going to throw this offer out there and everybody's going to jump on it because it's so amazing. Yes, I'm sure it is really amazing. And what is inside is awesome. But you have to build the trust with and build relationships with people first. That's what a business is. You're trying to build relationships with people and get to know them. That's why I cannot stand whenever people come in. They'll come straight into my DMs on Facebook and be like, hey, here's my offer. You don't even want to know me. Don't cold DMs was so 2005. We can't do that anymore. We're not there anymore. You can't just do that. And so the whole purpose of a business is to build a relationship with people. I want to know about you because I need to know if you're my people in the first place, but also because I care about you enough, because I care about people. That's why I built this business. Right. And I'm
not going to lie to you. 2.5 years ago, that was me. Only because I didn't know any better.
Jeremiah.
Oh my gosh, now you're sounding like my mother. Okay. Anyway. Okay. So Now you've been doing it for a while. What is your favorite thing about having your own business? What keeps you doing it?
Oh, first of all, I am the most hard-headed woman you will ever meet.
Fair?
I am so determined to help people, and I feel so called to help people in any way possible. And this is just a season where I'm in. This is just the purpose I feel like where I'm supposed to be. And if I'm not doing it, I feel like there's something missing within me. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
Like there's a hole. Like it's not like it's deeper than a desire. It's like a yearning to help others.
Well, honestly speaking, I do understand what that means. So I spent a career in the military, and what you just spoke to is the primary issue that a lot of veterans have after they leave the military. This is why so many of them end up homeless within 18 months after they separate, is because they kind of lose sight of their mission, and then they don't have another thing to go to. They spiral into a mental state that is really destructive, and it's isolating. And before you know it, they're divorced. They don't talk to anybody anymore, and they don't reach out for help. And it's just the worst thing in the world. However, then if somebody was to help them find a mission, and to me, that mission it turned into, it started off as leadership, right? But I've also done a lot of business development since I started really getting good at it about a year ago. And then there's been consulting projects, just like what you said. It's very funny that you mentioned all of those things, because I think I've kind of gotten into a lot of those things just because I tell people, well, what do you need? Really, I'm just in business on my own to help.
Right.
So
Right.
tell me what you need, and we'll figure out a way to charge for it. And then that's secondary to making sure you get it done.
Yeah. Basically, I mean, that's what it is.
Yes.
So do you think that the veterans know? Do you think that they know that that's what's wrong, or do you think that they just
No, they feel like that. So I was there, to be honest with you.
really?
Yes. And so I didn't lose my family or anything like that. I had a very smart woman at my side that was kind of smacking me over the head with logic and letting me know that, I'm just a year ago, just 2 years ago, whatever the case may be, you were this very highly functional person. And so we need to figure this out now. So she forced me to go to the VA, which I don't know if that probably hurt me more than it helped me, to be quite honest with you. But, then I found a community of people over at the DAV that really, really did help me. It was just a group of people talking about their problems. And I mean, that's one thing that veterans don't do well, is go out there and talk about their problems. And so that really opened my heart, and it helped me a lot to start going and doing what I wanted to do. But if you don't have that push, then you're lost.
Wow.
And when you're lost, if you've ever been, and I've read some stuff on your Facebook, so I know you've been lost before. But when you have that feeling, you almost get addicted to it. And when you get addicted to that, there's a very high likelihood that you'll get addicted to other things. And so I'm doing a lot of things to help veterans as well as part of my business. I'm connecting with companies and helping provide opportunities for transitioning veterans as they leave the military. In addition to that, I do free job coaching, helping with resumes and stuff like that. I've been doing that with a platform called Veterati for a long time. But to answer your question, do they realize that it's happening? No. They just feel this over. Think about when you lose a family member.
Yeah.
It's that same feeling of loss, except for it feels like your entire world is falling apart around you.
Wow. And that breaks my heart.
Oh, but you find somebody in that stage before they get to a point where it's really, really hard to come back from. And it does. And by the way, they can be homeless on the street, and you reach out a hand and they'll still come back. They just need that help before they get drowned in drugs and alcohol and the whole 9 yards. Just like any construction worker or anybody else that's struggling in what they're doing, then they will bounce back. But the mission is what we need.
Yeah. Wow. That is so, I never realized that before, but that makes so much since. Wow. What
Yeah.
clicked for you then? Like how, like you just people or the support that you had and them talking to you, or when did that
Well,
click?
so somebody told me that, so I found back in 2020, I found out about coaching and I
Mhm.
hired my own. And, you know, little did I know I didn't have to pay for that. It's okay. It is what it is. It was just a life coach that helped me. I only
Yeah.
did it for about 6 months, but I ended up getting back on my feet. I got a job and the whole 9 yards. Life was pretty good for a while. And then, you know, I started doing some leadership stuff at one of my jobs and I left and started my own business at that point. It was because I built a leadership development program there and I wanted to do that for more companies.
Mhm.
But there's more to it than that. And I'm finding that the bigger problem is people fail in business and it causes a lot of problems for them. And so
Yeah.
now I want to be able to provide that coaching certification with the business
Mhm.
background. And then, by the way, adding a supportive community so that once they go through all the educational stuff, we meet every week to talk about it. But then they also have that community right there that they can stay in after they're done. And we'll
Yes.
just have weekly conversations about it all until
Wow.
they're good. If they drop off,
See,
that's on them. But you know what? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't always make them drink. So, I mean, that
right.
it is what it is. I'm trying to get it certified through a couple of universities so that veterans can actually go through this entire course and process for free.
Wow. My school, I go to Colorado Christian University,
Yeah.
and they're really good about stuff like that. So
Well,
I
we
would
could,
reach
we
out
could,
to them.
we could talk about that offline.
Okay, okay, I'm sorry, sorry. No, I was I think, oh, I lost my train of thought. There was something really oh, I think that is, I truly wish that I would have had that because like after I got certified, there was something like you get certified and then you're just kind of like left to your own devices, and people, it's like, okay, what do I do now? Like, I'm certified, but okay. And that was really hard. So I don't even know if people realize how amazing that to have that extra support of, okay, this is what I do next. Just to have, I think that what a lot of people struggle with is where do I start? Like, what do I start on? There's so many elements to it, and you start getting into it and it becomes a lot. So just having like a step by step plan. And that's what I help um some of my clients with. If they want to do it themselves, then just a step-by-step plan, it just makes it so much
Mhm.
easier. you know
Checklists and plans and systems and processes. Oh yeah.
oh my.
Oh my. Well, we're at 28 minutes, so we have a couple minutes left
Yeah.
before we kind of end this episode. But I always ask my guests, if you had one thing that you could share with the world, what would that be?
Whew. One thing.
Well, I mean, I have 2 minutes, so it's going to be a profound 60 seconds. Let's say that.
Okay, so oh man. Okay, one of my favorite Bible verses of all time is Genesis 50:20, and it has an amazing principle behind it. Genesis 50:20 says, "For you intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position to save the lives of many people through God, through us." And that's part of the reason why I think both of us do what we do. Um, you know, I was a mess for a really long time, and I have 7 years sober now, but I thought that I had gotten so deep that I couldn't really see my way out. Like you were talking about, there's just like this really deep thing. And once I found my purpose, that's what fulfills me now. And everything that I thought was going to destroy my life and leave negative consequences forever actually turned out to be a miracle in disguise. And now I can use it to help others. So even though we go through some of the most difficult times, there's always going to be something in that we can use to help other people. I think that's a big lesson that I've learned in my life. Anyway, the biggest one that first comes to mind.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And as a matter of fact, I'll add to that by saying that oftentimes, if you haven't been through what somebody else is going through, or at least a version of it, then you're going to have a very difficult time building the trust level that they need to be able to open up to you so that you can help them through it.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I guess misery loves company, but when you've gone through it, then you can help them get out of it.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. That's right.
I love it. Yeah, no, that's a great. I'm glad that you quoted the Bible on that, because I use Bible verses to help me get through a lot of my trauma, and I have for a long time. And for those who do not use religion as something that they cope with, I mean, whatever that is, you need to figure that out if you don't already know it, because it's so important to have something that you can rely on, not drugs, not alcohol, a friend, a place to go, maybe fishing, whatever the case may be, a walk in the woods. You gotta find a way to get out of that instead of just relying on chemical dependencies. But
absolutely.
Well, Mariah, thank you so much for being a guest on here. It'll probably show up on all the platforms in about 6 weeks. So if you're seeing this today live, in about 6 weeks, you can go on Spotify and see it again. I don't keep it up on LinkedIn and Facebook and all of that forever. I only keep it up for a short while. Once it shows up on my other platforms, it comes off of all of where I did it live. So
sweet.
Just to close out, once again, you will see everything pop up. I have not started promoting it yet. This is my first time, but my Warrior Leadership Coaching Certification course, you can get into it now. The first 10 people will be able to get the course for $150. After that, it goes up to $2,000. And the reason I do that is because I value your feedback, and that is going to be required in order to get it at that lower rate. But I do need feedback because I want it to be the best possible course that it can be. And so I need people to make that happen. Mariah, thank you so much. It was a great conversation with you last time we talked, and this time was even better.
So, sweet. I'm honored. Thank you.
Oh yeah. And we'll chat again.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll see everybody on another episode of Victory Leaders Lounge.